Sales seems to be a big topic these days. There are signs the economy is cooling down, but everyone wants more sales. And in a tight environment, sales becomes even more important. And sometimes it's not just make more calls, contact more people, go on more lunches. You have to have a successful process. So if you'd like to learn what are the 5 key elements of a successful sales process, stay tuned. This is the show for you. I'd like to welcome you to the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Harlock, creator of KeyHire, where we help small business grow with our talent. And before we get rolling, just if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, watching us on YouTube, if you could do us a favor, hit that subscribe, hit that follow button. We're doing this for small business owners. So help us spread the word. Also, if you want to share these episodes with people you think it might resonate with, that would be great. And you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search up Corey Harlock. I think I'm the only one who looks like this anyway. And connect with me. We want to interact with our audience. We want to hear what ideas you have for the show or what your struggles are so we can help you out. Today, we have a very exciting guest. Her name is Melinda Emerson. She is the Small Biz Lady, but let me give you her little bio here. So she's America's #1 small business expert. She's a keynote speaker and a best-selling author with over 25 years of expertise helping small business start, grow, and scale. At Quintessence Group, she advises global brands how to market to small business. Right up our alley. So let's bring in Melinda.
Hi there.
How you doing?
I am great. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, you're up in PA. You said you got a beautiful day. I'm down here in Houston, and it's pissing down rain. So,
sorry about that.
I know it's okay. I just came in. I just beat it in here. So, tell us a bit about being the small business lady. What's it like? What's life like being the small biz lady?
Oh gosh, I'm living the dream, right? I mean, look, I have been an entrepreneur for 26 years.
Right.
I have been coaching and training and supporting small business owners for the last 17 years of my career. And how I got started doing it was I wrote this little book called Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. I wrote it in 2008.
Wow.
And it literally created a whole life and opportunity for me that I never imagined. I wrote my book literally because it was the book I had never read. Like I'm a very accidental business coach. That was not what I was trying to be. But I got tired of people calling me, girl, I want to be like you. I want to quit my job. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
It's not for the faint of heart.
It's hard. Like, and so literally I went from an ebook called The 44 Things to Do Before You Go Into Business that went viral on the internet, like early on, like 05, 06, like people were sharing it with each other. And then it was like, I need to do more with this. And when I got pregnant with my son, I ended up on bed rest for 6 months. And that was when I finally had time to write down all the expensive mistakes I had learned. And I was like, wow. And it was a long list. And so it was like, I was like, wow, how can I shorten the learning curve for everybody else so that they don't have to learn this stuff the hard way? And Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months has been in print for 15 years with Simon & Schuster. It is in its 3rd edition. We've sold 100,000 copies worldwide. So it's like, it became a phenomenon, a movement. And largely I think because I told the truth. I didn't sugarcoat, like I'm not the hero at the end of every story. I mean, I was very honest about a bunch of dumb stuff we did in the early days. And I think people appreciated that.
Transparency makes people kind of being able to relate to you and trust you a little more, maybe.
Yeah. And then, so I turned my book in 2008, the market crashes 14 days later. And then my publisher called me up and said, listen, we don't think anyone's thinking about entrepreneurship right now. So we're going to shelf your book for 18 months. And I was like, holy macaroni, Batman, what do you mean you're going to shelf my book? And the economy was bad. My then husband had lost his full-time job. I mean, I didn't have the $10,000 to buy my book back from these people. So I had to wait.
Yeah.
And I was like, the heck am I supposed to be doing waiting for this book to come out? And so a friend of mine in the National Speakers Association, she was like, listen, if I were you, I would start publicizing that book like it was coming out anyway. And I was like, yeah, doing what? And she said, you need to check into this new social media stuff everybody's starting to talk about, figure out Twitter or something. Like, people are saying that social media is going to be the next big thing in marketing. And I was like, really? I mean, because remember, Twitter was 1 year old in 2008. So it wasn't like at all like things are now. And I can even remember asking somebody, what is Twitter? Like I didn't know what it was. I hadn't even seen it. And so I hired this woman to be my publicist at the time. And she was like, oh my God, we have 18 months to build your author platform. She was actually giddy that my book was not coming out.
Okay.
And of course, I thought I was talking to somebody crazy, right? And so she was like, no, this is going to be a good thing for you. I said, how is it going to be a good thing for me? Because it doesn't feel good. and she said, no, we're going to build. It did. She said, we're going to build your brand on Twitter. And by the time your book comes out, everybody will already know your name. And so we get to Twitter, I put in Melinda Emerson, and I get this notice back, this name is already taken. And I was like, come on. Like, first of all, I've met 6 other Melindas older than me my whole life. Like, my name is not common, right. And so I was like, how in the world is there another Melinda? And how did that heifer get to Twitter before me, right? So we were like, all right, we got to come up with a nickname. And I was like, a nickname? You mean like Mindy or Melly Mel or something, And she was like, no, fool, you're not a rapper. I'm not going to give you a name like that. And she said, well, let's come up with a name that tells people who you are and what you do. And that was the day I became Small Biz Lady. So.
Hey, let me ask you this, because it's not often I get people on here who are dedicated to small business in particular, right? And we are at KeyHire, and you are as well.
Sure.
What drives you? Why small business? Why do you do it?
I love small business owners because we are the people that make it happen. I mean, everybody can't be a small business owner. You imagine the courage and bravery and strategic thinking you have to have, and major multitask ability you have to be an entrepreneur. I mean, literally, you got to do 10 jobs well to look like you're doing a job, right? So I feel like small business owners need support. And after my first 7, 8 years in my first business, which was a video production company, I was like, man, there's a better way to build this mousetrap. And I want to be helping people really kind of get to that. And that is what drove me. And then after the book came out, and I mean, I was scared when I wrote that book. I wasn't sure anybody was going to think I had anything valuable to say. And then it came out, and the first review I ever read was, now hear this, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, best startup book we ever read. And it came out in Black Enterprise Magazine. And I was just like, woo, like it was like such validation, right? Because I didn't know if anybody thought I was crazy or what.
Seth Godin says, right? It's scary to create something and put it out. Everyone thinks everyone can proofread. But it takes special courage to create something and put it out in the world for the army of proofreaders to critique, right?
100, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know if anybody, but it was amazing, the feedback that I got, and that people still talk about my book. And I still get emails literally from all over the world. Sometimes I have to hit Google Translate on them so that I can find out what they're saying about my friends in Portuguese. They love to send me emails. So it's really been amazing. And because of my writing ability, it created so many other opportunities for me. My teaching ability, which somebody had to tell me I was a teacher, by the way. Like, I didn't know I was. Like, somebody was like, no, you're out here doing webinars, writing articles, like you are teaching people, like you are a teacher. And eventually I went back and got my MBA to prove it, right? But I think for me, business owners need support because everybody has good ideas. That's not the problem. The problem is everybody doesn't know how to run a business. That's the problem.
And all the people that want to help these people target the big companies because that's where they can charge the high dollar stuff, right?
That's where the money is.
To work at their level. But hey, we got to get back on track. We're supposed to be talking about sales process here. Geez, we're way off track. So yeah, you're bringing your 5 key elements. But I mean, let's first define in your kind of world, what does a successful sales process look like? Or Yeah, just let's start with that.
So when you think about a sales process, the first thing you've got to have is a niche. You've got to have a really, really clear, narrow niche, actually. The more niche, the better. You also have to have a really good offer with a really obvious value proposition. You have to be an authority, right? You can't just, you got to have some credentialing around you, and you have to have a lead generation process, and you have to have a close process. You have to have what I call an enrollment process. These are the 5 things you have to have, and none of them work without the other. So that is really like, just to give you that at a very, very, micro level, that's what it is.
Yeah. So walk me through, what are those 5 elements again?
Your niche, who do you specialize in serving?
Okay.
And what is your offer? So that's the first thing. Who is your niche? If everybody's can buy it, nobody will, right? So the second thing is your offer. It's amazing to me how often people's offers are so convoluted and they make people have to think real hard. Look, if you confuse, you lose when it comes to sales.
Confused mind says no.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't make me think about it too hard.
That's good. I like it.
You have to make it a no-brainer. You have to pre-sell them. You have to, really know them enough so that your process is tight.
Right. So is there an example of a good or a bad initial offer that you can think of?
I've always liked to go in with a get in and expand mentality. So particularly because I primarily sell to B2B, right? So in my personal consulting services. So for me, what I like to do is go in with something like, let me do an audit, and let's say they pay $1,000 for the audit. You better give them $5,000 worth of value.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
And then you start swimming upstream from there. And then you show them the audit and you say, hey, we would love to help you fix these things that we found in our review of your current situation. Right. And then they say, well, how much is that going to be? And that's when you hit them. Your implementation is always a lot of money, right? So, but you start with something that is $97 worth $500, $1,000 worth $5,000, $10,000 worth $20,000, like just whatever it is. You're it's like a lost leader. You want to get in the door, you want to get information, you want to build relationships, you want to understand how these people do business. We
have the niche, which is like your micro, right? You gotta, and we talk about this all the time, how you can start with a real small target and people around that target will get interested. But if you start with a big target, no one will be interested.
Well, it's too hard to swing for the fences first up the bat, right? Like base hits work.
It's not a home run, it's work. I say that all the time.
Doubles work. Base hits work, right? You got to get in there, demonstrate expertise, get some trust. Because at the end of the day, you are a small business. There is no large person working for a large business that's willing to risk their job messing with you. So you have to make sure that you come in, that you're airtight, that you follow up, that you are professional, you show up to meetings on time, like, just the trust stuff, so that they understand that you know what you're doing, you're dedicated to what you're doing, you're following up, you're following through, you're the next day they got their 8 documents. Like you want to impress these people, right, that you are just as professional as these big companies that they think they need, right? So then once you get in, then you start, kind of, well, what's your budget? I mean, ask them questions. If you know their budget is $50,000, do not give them a proposal for $250,000. But do not give them $250,000 worth of work for $50,000 either, right? Be fair to yourself.
I think you just hit what, as especially like a solopreneur or people that are trying to get going, they difference between over deliver. They give too much value back, and then essentially you devalue, because if that person's going to refer you, they're like, oh, they did all these things for me. Then you go meet, and they're like, yeah, so we want the same thing that so-and-so had. And you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a no bueno. No, that's not how we do it, right? You want to right size the opportunity to their budget.
Yeah.
If they've got 25,000, then you're doing a pilot for 1 year and they're not going to own any of what you're doing, which means they got to come back to you the next year to get it again. Right. So you kind of figure it out based on, but you build the rapport to where they tell you the truth, man. What is your real budget?
Yeah.
Like, let's not play a game with each other here. Like, tell me what you're working with and let me see if I can work with it. If I can't, I'll tell you. But you have to know what your costs are. You have to know what your margin is. You have to know how much margin is in every sale. Extremely, extremely important.
Right. And so we have niche, we have initial offer. What was number 3?
Authority positioning.
Okay.
You have to demonstrate who you've done it for, what your credentials are, right? Have you been featured in the media? How Googleable is your company? Do you have a following of 1,000 to 1 million people, right? How can you leverage your credibility to, have you written a book? Whatever it is, have you made the Inc. 5000 list? Have you made the, Philly 100 list in your town? Right. Whatever it is, you got to demonstrate that you're not some boo-boo out here trying to sell them something.
Okay.
You just have to. So it's very important. So authority positioning is really, really important. The next thing is lead generation, right? You have to create a traffic source. And then you have to create a lead generation system. So what do I mean by that? Either you are doing webinars, you're doing podcasts, you're buying traffic with ads, you're partnering with partners that are doing referral traffic with you for affiliate fees. Whatever it is, you got to create traffic. People got to come click on you, click on your site, click on your landing pages. Then the lead generation system starts with your landing page. Are you giving something away free? Are they booking appointments with you? How do they get to the next step in your sales process? And how are you qualifying them? Everybody isn't worth an appointment. What you have a process that they have to, a video or a webinar they have to watch before they even come meet with you. These things are important because you have to pre-sell people before they get on the phone with you. And then you have to have your objections ready. Oh, I got to think about it. Oh, I don't know. You got to have answers for that. You have to have scripts that you've rehearsed, that you're ready, so that when they come for you, they've gone through your qualifying process. You scored them. Now they're on the phone with you or your sales rep. And now what happens next? Are you at proposal phase? Are they giving you information? How you want to make sure in your initial discovery call with them that you know how close they are to making a decision? How urgent is this problem? You want to ask questions like, well, what would it be like if we solved this problem for you? Right. And then this is my favorite question to ask somebody in a sales situation. If they say, oh, that just really sounds expensive. And I always say, well, tell me, what are you going to do if you don't hire me? What's your plan?
Yeah.
And that usually slows people down a little bit because they're like stunned I asked that usually.
Not everyone can get away with that.
If you know what you're doing, you can. If your results speak for themselves, if you're Googleable on 26 pages, you can say that. But again, I think it's all about how much information you know about the person you're talking to. Right. Is the person you're talking to the person that can make a decision? If you're selling into a corporation, it is rare that one person gets to make that decision. They got to go talk to some people. It's usually 3-4 people involved in giving them the budget to hire you. Then the contract negotiation got to happen, right? So it's a whole, or if it's a formal RFP process and all, you really have to understand what the sales cycle is. Right. Of the client that you are targeting.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
But really, if you do well enough with your authority positioning, though, people call you with money. Like, it's a different situation. So when you build your authority the right way, then it becomes about availability and price. You're not having a conversation about whether or not you can solve their problem. They already know. They've got a budget. They want you.
That's ideal, right? That's like, you've made it when you're at that point.
Absolutely. But, it only takes 10 to 15 years to get there, but you can get there.
After a 30 figure, I'm hoping. After a 30 figure, where are you? What's next?
Well, after authority figure, then it's about your lead gen, right? So it's really about whatever your lead gen process is. Do you have a quiz? Are you doing ebooks? Do you have a mini video series? What is it? What is the content that you're going to give them to demonstrate? Because a lot of times what we have to understand now in today's sales process, you have to touch people 5 to 10 times before they respond.
And
5 to 10 times.
I know, and I always refer to as, you're making them pay with their email, and people are there's so much crap coming out down there, and they get so many emails. People are getting pretty picky about who they want to give their email to, because they know they're going on a list. They know they're going to get emails, whatever that is, right? So it's always like, is it really worth my email? Like, is there enough value there for me to put up with what's about to come in my inbox?
Well, and that's why your lead magnets have to be extraordinary. Like, your best stuff should be in your lead magnets. You can't hold back. Please don't think you're going to give somebody a mediocre, just okay ebook and think they're buying anything from you, because they're not.
Right.
They're not. So you have to think about, how can I put my best stuff in here? Because that's what, and then you got to do it every 6 months, guys. You can't do one lead magnet and that's it for 2 years. No. You need to be every 6 months, a new lead magnet needs to be coming.
Why is that?
Because you are always having people cycle through. Sometimes it might be a year or two before they reach back out to you wanting to have a conversation. So you got to keep it warm. You got to demonstrate the value with your podcast, with your blog, with your ebooks. You also need to build sales funnels to nurture these people once you have a conversation, if they're not ready. Because the first time people meet you, they're usually not ready to buy.
Right? Element 5 is the funnel?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make a note. We have a transition into element 5. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So it's the enrollment process, right? So you've got the funnel. You've got the follow-up appointment after the initial discovery call. And then it's like, when you get on that second call, it's like, what are we doing here?
Right. I'm a Vistage guy, and someone in our Vistage group said 90% of the time you're not selling your product, you're selling the next appointment.
100%, depending on how big the corporation is, or how complicated the sale is. Absolutely. But a lot of times people get ghosted after the discovery call.
Why do you think that is?
Because they don't know how to close people. I know why. They do not know how to close.
So a close after a discovery wouldn't be selling them their stuff, but it would be saying, hey, here's the next step in the process.
It would be like
this. Or why don't I come in and do a quick assessment for you? It'll cost you $997.
Yeah.
And you can see how we work, and we can
exactly. You got to sell the next thing, whether it's the next appointment, that initial audit, or let me help you. You know what I mean? But you also have to understand whether or not this is an urgent situation. Is there enough pain for them to do something about it? Obviously it is, because they wouldn't talk to you otherwise. People are so busy. People are so time starved. Nobody is giving you their time for something that's not important to them. Not at all.
I don't know about your experience, but entrepreneurs and small business owners are the hardest people to reach out and touch, because they only go on LinkedIn if they need to recruit. They might go on Facebook every now and again, but they're not on social media. They're not like
small business owners only buy when there's pain. They only buy when there is pain. And in the case of hiring, it's extreme pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even, it's like, oh my God, this person just left us. Now we got to do something, or it's something like that. And that's because small business owners are coin operated, right? They are time starved and coin operated. So they do not have time for your BS automation on LinkedIn. Please do not do that. Please do not do that. And do not be pitch slapping people either. Like, the minute you connect to them, then you come back with, oh, well, this is what I do.
Linda, I understand why your book sold so well. You're very quotable. I am going to use pitch slap now.
Yes.
I will give you I'll give you credit every time, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, don't be out here pitch slapping people, man. Wait until you're asked to dinner. Don't force yourself on people. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, I think this is a great segue into mistakes. So in your world, when people are trying to put together a sales process or close sales or get business, what are some of the big mistakes you see people making out there?
Well, the first thing I think I see is people don't have a defined sales process in the first place. They're just networking and selling stuff. It's like, no, you actually need to have sales systems. You need a CRM. You need sales funnels. You need landing pages. You need lead magnets. You need all this stuff set up. So that's the first thing I see, no sales process.
Okay.
The second thing I see is no CRM, or they have a CRM that they don't know how to use, right? So they got Salesforce, don't know. They got HubSpot, they don't know how to use.
I use it at about 15%.
Yeah, like man, learn how to use this stuff you're paying all this money for every month, please, right? Or better yet, move to something better like Zoho. Anyway, but the other thing I would say is people make the mistake of thinking hiring a salesperson is going to save them.
Okay.
And here's what I mean by that. If you can't sell it, tell me why you think you're going to hire some expensive person to come in and help you sell it. If you haven't demonstrated that your sales process works, right, or if you haven't defined your sales process, hiring a salesperson to come help you is like driving down the street and throwing money out the window as you go. Well, because guess what? Salespeople are good at selling themselves too. So then you got them in there. They know you ain't got no system. And they're like, oh, this person hasn't even set me up to be successful, but I'm going to take their money for 6 months before they figure it out.
Right. Unless you bring them in to help you build your systems.
I mean, if you don't have one, right, but
you have to know what you don't.
Salespeople are not coming to work for people who do not have a defined sales process and don't have all the sales enablement tools in place. No way. Not a good one.
Right. They want to come in and make money.
They want to come in and just start revving up the machine. They don't want to be in the back office building them. They don't not know. Salespeople are rarely cash motivated. Like that's what they want. They want their base pay plus commission. That's what they want. And if you're not able to pay those people at least 6 figures through commissions, through their base and commission, they're not fooling with you. They're not.
Agreed. Hey, what's your philosophy on, have you ever had a small business owner say to you, I want to bring in a salesperson, but I think I'm going to put him on straight commission. I don't want to pay him a salary.
Yeah, let's talk about commission only. If you don't have, the only way commission only salespeople work is if you already have a full pipeline and they're just closing people. Like if you
have a history of people on straight commission making money.
If you don't have a pipeline to keep their calendar filled with talking to people, that's the lose-lose for them.
Right.
They're not going to, here's what commission only salespeople are not going to help you generate the lead. They're going to close the leads you generate. So if you don't have a clean system to like have just leads, like, 13 people a week on your calendar, 20 people a week booking on your calendar, you don't got that. A commission only salesperson is going to look at you like, boo-boo, get out of here. Like, you got to be kidding. I mean, here's the thing that I think too. Most people don't need a salesperson. Most people's first sales employee should be an appointment setter. Put them on your calendar. You close them. You learn how to close them. You build sales scripts. You run through the stuff. Eat your own dog. Make sure the stuff works.
Right.
Then you can start outsourcing pieces of it. You can add an appointment setter. You might even add a closer. And then when those two things are working well, then go ahead and add a salesperson. But if you can't sell it, sweetie, do not be out here thinking you're going to get some good salesperson to come sell it for you.
I think that's it, right? It's, we work with these people and oftentimes they don't have that process in place. And they come with that. I just need a good salesperson. And it's, my angle is always like, okay, well, maybe we need someone, like, we need to build out the process So they can work in it and build it out, but we need to put some guarantees in place for them too, because if they're building, they're not closing, they're not making incentives. So we got to help them out, right? We can't take money out of their pocket to come in.
They don't want to be doing work they are not getting paid to do. So building your CRM system and cleaning up that stuff, they are not interested in that.
Right.
They're interested in getting on the phone, going to meetings, going to conferences, trade shows. They want to close.
Yeah.
They're not fooling with you with the you ain't got no CRM system and don't nobody know how to use it. They're not into that. They don't care.
Yeah. All right, Melinda, what other mistakes have you seen out there?
Well, I think that people don't ask good questions on the discovery calls. They don't get the right information. They don't find out where are you in this process? What is the budget really? What, how do these sales decisions get made at your company, right? You got to understand, and not even just that, you also need to ask about their payment processes. If this company pays invoices net 60, net 90, that's going to affect your cash flow, which means you might have to borrow money to service their work, which means their fees should be higher.
Okay.
So you got to understand, like, once this thing finally gets signed, we're doing business. Tell me how that works. How long does it take to get registered as a vendor in your system? What are you guys? Do you guys pay ACH? Do you use bill.com? How am I going to get my, you got to understand how your money is going to come. Is everything reimbursable? You got to put out all the money. Or, can you bill 50% up front, a quarter payment up front? You got to figure out how the money is going to work in this contract.
Right.
Because a lot of people get contracts and lose. I've also seen companies do this. And there's only 2 companies I've experienced this with, but it's dirty. So let's say you put your invoice in, you've already done the work, you put your invoice in, they told you their payment is net 60. Well, day 31, you get an email, hey, if you give us 2% off this invoice, we'll deposit this money in your account tomorrow. So you got people doing backdoor discounting on invoices after the fact. So you got to be aware of all of this stuff, because all this stuff eats margin.
Right.
And if you ain't making money, that don't make no sense. You understand? So you really have to understand, what is it going to be like to do business with these people? What are their insurance requirements in their contracts? Are you going to have to go out and get a whole bunch of new insurance you don't have? Yep. I've seen a lot of corporate contracts now coming out with cybersecurity insurance and that kind of stuff that you have to have that most business owners don't have. And it don't cover that much anyway. But the point is that you have to think about how much is it going to cost you to do business with these people?
Good point.
So that you understand strategically how much margin you have to put into your contract for it to be a good deal for you and them.
Yeah, that's why you can't have your salesman out there trying to win on price all the time, because eventually they'll start selling projects lower than or less than it's going to cost you to do them, right?
You really want to go after people that have value-based pricing, not low bid pricing. Low bid pricing is a race to the bottom that nobody wins.
Yeah, 2 for 1.
You do not want to be that person. You definitely don't want to be doing that. No.
I gotcha. No. All right, let's move into some advice. So if you had, your 3 to 5 best pieces of advice for someone, a small business owner out there who's struggling with sales, they want to get back on track, let them have it. What are your top 3 to 5 pieces of advice?
Well, I would say look at your sales process. Do you have one? Is it time to update it? Is it still effective? Right. And then the lead gen process. How are you generating leads? How are you qualifying leads? And then your offer. A lot of people are losing this thing at their offer because their offer isn't clean. The value proposition in their offers aren't good. There's really, I'm actually doing a webinar coming up on just how to create and pitch an offer, because a lot of people don't know their offers is what's killing them, particularly for consulting businesses. So those are probably my big 3. And again, if you can't sell it, please don't think you're going to hire some salesperson to save you. They're going to take your money and run too.
So I'm going to throw a curveball at you then. So I'm an owner operator. I don't have a sales team, or I'm thinking about making, I need to hire salespeople to boost my sales, but I'm not out there selling. What advice would you give that business owner?
Go get some sales training, learn how to sell. As a business owner, your number one job is to sell. It really is. I mean, because you shouldn't be working in the business delivering the service. You should have some other support around that. You need to be out here. You're the face of the brand. You're out networking. You're talking to people. You're generating that next opportunity. And if sales gives you hives, which it does to a lot of people, get some training, get some help. I have a sales accelerator bootcamp program where I teach this stuff. I have a high ticket closer program too, but you got to go get trained so that you can stop being intimidated by your own sales process. You just have to do it. I invested in sales training 23 years ago, and it was the best thing I ever did, because once I learned it, then I became an animal, right? I was like a sales
beast. Now, look at you out here.
Yeah, man, I became a sales beast, but I've been in business a long time.
Melinda, I don't know that for a second. I feel sorry for the businesses that call you in and, you're just going to eat them up. You're done.
Oh, listen, I speak truth to power, right? I had a conversation last week with the CEO of a very large SaaS company. And I was like, tell me what's going on. Tell me why you don't want to win. Because I look at your company, your products are amazing, and nobody knows about you. Nobody's ever heard of you. You, in 20 years, haven't invested in brand awareness. Why? Make it make sense for me. Nice. And he looked at me like he couldn't believe I was speaking to him like that. And then his go-to-market North America called me for a meeting. Our CEO said, I need to speak to you.
Beautiful.
You do.
So if anyone else wants to speak with you, you keep setting me up. I'm just going to knock them out of the park. If anyone else wants to get in touch with you, how can we reach out to you, Melinda?
Oh, man, I am the Small Biz Lady. So I want you guys to go to smallbizladyuniversity.com. You can get more information about my Sales Accelerator Bootcamp course. If I've been strumming your pain in this conversation, call me. I want to help you. We have a Sales Accelerator Bootcamp program. I also do one-on-one coaching with people who might have very laser issues. And we also have another Small Biz Lady Academy for women entrepreneurs. So women entrepreneurs that need support and help can come over and check out smallbizladyacademy.com as well. So if you can't remember my name, Melinda Emerson, all you got to do is Google Small Biz Lady. You'll find me.
I've done it. It's there. Also, smallbizladyacademy.com. And then, Matt, do we have a link for the book? There's your LinkedIn. What was the name of the book, Melinda?
Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months.
Okay, we're going to put a link to the book in the show notes too.
Excellent. Anywhere books are sold, you can find it.
Matt is typing away furiously back there. There you go. You got that far. Okay, cool. Hey, thank you so much. I know we had to do a bit of rescheduling to get you in here, but it was so worth it. I've enjoyed the conversation. It's been a lot of fun.
It was absolutely my pleasure, Corey. Thank you so much for having me. And, here's to killer sales beasts out here in these streets. Let's go.
Awesome. Thanks, Melinda. You're the best.
All right. Thanks.
All right. There she is, the Small Biz Lady, Melinda Emerson. Check her out. I've enjoyed every conversation I've had with her. She's been a blast to deal with. And not to mention some really good ideas. So we appreciate her coming on the show. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning into the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. Again, if you got value, please share with your network, share with your friends, help us get the word out. Connect with us. You can do that by liking or following the podcast, whether it's on Spotify or Apple. You can hit us up on YouTube and be a subscriber, or you can connect with me in person on LinkedIn. I always want to connect with small business owners. We want to interact with you guys. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any ideas what we should be talking about, or ideas for the show, or guests you'd like to see, let us know. We're here to serve you. So until next time, I'm Corey Harlock. Stop grinding, start growing.